Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of Valpo Football Weekly, along with head coach Dave Cicchini. This is Todd Eichow. And Dave, we'll start by taking a look back at what was, I guess, a frustrating end to the ball game on Saturday. But I think you look at on the big picture, this has to be an encouraging game when you look forward to the rest of the schedule. And a 2-point loss against Duquesne.
Sure. Yeah, a very talented scholarship program in Duquesne. We talked about it last week. A lot of transfers, a lot of really good football players on that program, and our kids fought hard. I'm really proud of the way we competed. We played for the most part like it wasn't our first game of the season, even though it was. Held the lead. They fought back, and then we regained the lead, and then they came back late in the fourth quarter, and we just didn't have, I think, quite enough in the tank to finish the game. But overall, yeah, there were definitely a lot of positives to take away from it.
You played them close a year ago. I thought this game had a little bit different feel because last year you had big plays and that kept you in the game. This was kind of going toe-to-toe at the line of scrimmage. You didn't get pushed back. You did some last year. I thought this year you held your own at the line of scrimmage. You did well against Hines. You only had 4 yards of carry, about half what he was averaging. So even though both games were close over the last 2 years, to me, this game is even more encouraging.
Yeah, I think that if you look back, it always seemed a year ago playing Duquesne that, man, we just hung in there. We were hanging in there. We were down, but they couldn't, get us down for the count. We always got back up. We got back up, and then towards the very end of the game, it was, holy cow, we've got a chance to win this. That certainly wasn't the case in this game. This was a back and forth trading blows, standing toe-to-toe with them and hanging in there, physically for most of the ball game. And like I said, we got down to the right end, and that's kind of how they pulled away. Hines, they just kind of fed him the football and late in the fourth quarter, and we gave a little bit more then than we had the prior 3.5 quarters. And then the opposite thing happened to us when our offense went to take the field for the 2-minute drill. Just the strength and the power and the speed of their rush kind of got the best of us.
Is this maybe a testament that your front seven defensively is clearly better than it was a year ago?
Oh, sure, no question. And both sides of the ball. Both sides of the ball. If you look at the success that we had running the football on Saturday opposed to a year ago against Duquesne, and they weren't any worse defensively than they were. In fact, I think they were a little bit better defensive unit this year than they were a year ago. But still, we were able to punch some good holes up front for Kyle Cartalis and Cody Boxrucker, and both of them had pretty substantial runs. If you go back and you look at our rushing numbers, they're not that impressive, but you have to remind that's with 4 big sacks that they had that negated. Kyle averaged, I think, yards per carry was identical to Hines for them, so that was pretty impressive.
There was one guy in my mind who looked like he made a huge step forward from last year to this year, and that was Austin Petrie. Seemed to be all over the field. Yeah. Last year was his first year at linebacker. Boy, he looked spectacular, I thought, on Saturday.
Yeah, I've always talked all preseason. I feel that's the strength of our defense, the heart and soul, and straight across the board, 4 linebackers. And Austin did play a decent amount of football a year ago, but you're right. But of all of those 4 guys, he had the least amount of experience. But again, a great leader, just a vocal competitor, a guy who got after it. And I don't think there was a person on our team that was surprised that he had the type of game that he did.
All right, now let's go over to the quarterback spot. Jimmy Seawald warmed up. I thought I was watching him warm up. So it looked like he threw the ball well. The rain was coming down hard. He ended up going with Chris Duncan, who played well.
Sure.
Talk about what went through that quarterback decision and where things look this week.
Yeah. Well, I think we were very ready to go with Jimmy, and we're always going to err on the side of caution there, and with the weather conditions being the way they were, and I think how Jimmy was probably feeling. I know he certainly was dying to go. I mean, he's a competitor. He wanted to play. But we just decided to go with Chris, start the game with him. And man, I give credit to Chris for his first start, and particularly in those weather conditions. I think he bobbled the second snap of the game. And then from that point on, he was great with the football. Did a great job of making the right reads and scrambling when he had to scramble, and really put us. I felt like he put us in a position to win the football game. And sometimes when the weather conditions aren't ideal, it comes up to being the team that makes the fewest amount of mistakes, and that certainly was us.
That looks like Mason Sutter is going to be a bigger part of the offense. He was a big part of the offense a year ago, but now he looks like maybe one of the focal points.
Sure, yeah. I mean, we felt like we had some good plays in the game plan, particularly for the defenses and coverages that Duquesne was using, and Chris did a good job. A couple of times he got the ball to Mason where he wasn't his primary read, and Mason's a very talented football player. He started for 4 years at tight end, that tight end position you just always never know in our offense. Some games he's a glorified offensive lineman, big in our run game and helping out in pass protection, and in other games he's flexed out as a wide receiver, and he's got to be like our like another slot receiver in the game, and Mason does a great job of filling all of those roles very adequately.
Now as we look ahead, kind of right back into the fire, here's a Youngstown State team. They're 0-2, but obviously this will be the most talented team we see all year. They played West Virginia this past week, top 20 team.
Right.
On the road, they had 400 yards of offense.
Sure.
They had 23 first downs. They're going to be a load.
Yeah, they are, and they hung with them for just over half of the football game. Again, it really wasn't until the very end where West Virginia's athleticism and speed got the best of them. But they are a very talented football team. Butler did an incredible job upsetting them in the first game of the season, and had a little bit of luck on their side to go with playing an outstanding football game as well. But it's across the board. This is a team that can hurt you so many different ways offensively. The quarterback Van Gorder is a threat with his arm, and he's also athletic enough to concern you in terms of the run game. The running game is outstanding. They've got physical offensive linemen. On the defensive side of the ball, they really are a team that up front, very talented, particularly the defensive end positions, just guys. It's a little scary when you put on that film and you can't tell, the West Virginia offensive tackle versus the Youngstown defensive end. You're like, okay, which one is the Division I FCS program? Which one is the FBS program? And you really couldn't tell. So it's a very talented program.
All right, how do you stay in the game against them?
Yeah, well, we got to keep them off balance. There's no question. For us, we do have a number of different tools on the offensive side of the football. Chris showed that if, again, it's going to be him this coming week, which we still don't know. He did a great job of distributing the football. We're going to have to continue to do that. Take the big play when that opportunity presents itself, but be ready just to chip away if that's what they're going to give us. On the defensive side of the ball, we have to stay aggressive. We're going to have to gamble a little bit here and there. Because I don't think in this particular game we can just kind of sit back and play a bend but don't break mentality. I think we can do that at times, but again, it's just going to be all about keeping Youngstown off balance here and keep them guessing as to what our plan is.
Certainly stayed in the game against Duquesne because you didn't turn the ball over.
Sure.
Under really bad conditions. It's got to be the same thing, right? Hang on to the football.
Absolutely, and that the ability to get a short field is really going to be important in this game too. And to get a short field, it usually means one of two things. It's either the defense forcing a turnover deep in their end, or what we're also looking for would be special teams plays. We did a pretty solid job week 1 against Duquesne, and we certainly have the capability. A guy like Bailey Gessinger and some of our special teams, we keep getting more athletic there as our program gets deeper, and we're going to need a play or two to help us out there to get the ball maybe on their side of the 50-yard line.
Certainly looks like the kicking game is strong now.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, we're very happy with where we're at, and Kyle Ulbrich punted for us, as did Alex Ing. And Kyle did a great job, so we're really, really happy with where we are there special teams-wise.
All right, good luck this week, Dave.
All right, thanks.
For head coach Dave Cicchini, this is Todd Eichhout. Thanks for joining us this week on Valpo Football Weekly.